Oh, good. I'm okay. It's okay. It's all right.
Hello, I'm here with Tim Wynn, the composer of Final Destination Bloodlines. My name is Vin. I'm a writer and video reviewer here at the Cosmic Circus. Tim, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Tim Wynn, and I'm the composer for Final Destination Bloodlines.
It's a privilege to have you. I absolutely adored this movie. I told you just a little bit before we started recording, but I absolutely, I thought it was perfectly calibrated, perfectly executed. Like, there's 5 out of 5 for what this should be. I absolutely love this movie. And the music is such an important part of it. The way it's perfectly calibrated when it's funny or when it's suspenseful, when it's silent. You've done a phenomenal job with this movie, resurrecting this franchise as the third composer and bringing back even some of Shirley Walker's themes. So great job to you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. You can't get any better than perfect. So 5 out of 5, I'll take that all day long for sure.
As far as Final Destination movies go, I think just phenomenal. You've had a very long 30-year career. You studied at USC. You've worked with Steven Spielberg. You had a long partnership with Christopher Lennertz. You've done Supernatural, video games with Command & Conquer, XCOM, Marvel's Midnight Suns. What is the connective tissue of your career? What defines a Tim Wynn score?
Oh, that's a tough question. I think what defines it is not being defined, really. I like bouncing from one sort of genre to another. I don't like being pigeonholed into any one thing. If it's a great game project, I love that. I love working in horror. I love just working on compelling stories is really where I get excited about it. So
The
yeah,
versatility, right?
yeah, versatility. Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. I feel like I do best when I can go from one different genre to another and then back again, and it allows for personal growth and finding new ideas, and you're not always just stuck in a rut.
Absolutely. Not only different genres, but even different mediums, because you've
Oh
done
yeah.
video games, you've done movies, you've done TV shows. What are the challenges that these different mediums present? Is it all music is music, or do you approach them differently?
In some ways, music is music a little bit, but
Mhm.
at the same way, I think that movies and video games, they actually have more in common than TV.
Really?
Uh, yeah, well,
Mhm.
because the TV schedule is so much more compressed than the video game schedule. So on a schedule aspect, it
Mhm.
definitely has those two things have the same. TV, it's a little bit different. Like, you have a week and a half, maybe, to come up with, 35 minutes of music, 40 minutes of music. So
Mhm.
it can feel you don't have as much time to experiment. You kind of have to go with what the trick bags you know how to do to
Mhm.
sound really good. And video games have always been, at least when I started working, the reason why I got into video games was they really were looking to emulate sort of the Hollywood experience. They were looking to kind of make it feel like a movie and that grand
Exactly.
experience. And that's when I started getting into it and I got the call for it. It really was an extension of the music that I was writing for movies at the time.
Exactly. Sort of like large movies rather than weekly TV shows. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I weekly TV shows are great too. 15
Mhm.
seasons of Supernatural, I was
Mhm.
blessed to work on. But it just is a different, once you
Absolutely.
get
It's a different
the
rhythm. Mhm.
sound, that you work on, for the first season, especially once you get that down, then it's a little bit more like, okay, here's Sam and Dean again. We want the same vibe.
Exactly.
It's again and
Mhm.
again and again.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's more of a theme and variations rather than, being able to create new themes because it's a new adventure, a new movie, a new,
And
anywhere. So
actually, I'm skipping ahead a little, but now I have a question. If you were to come back for more Final Destination movies, would
yeah,
it be similar that you're reusing some of your ideas from this Bloodlines, or would you
yeah.
each time would you present it? Would you approach it like a new story with new themes?
Well, I think the one thing, and I hope they do end up making a Final Destination 7.
Mhm.
I think it would be brilliant for the fans. There's a lot of support for it, it seems.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like you gave it a 5 out of 5. Most of my friends and family. So, it's like that's what we need, a poster. It's like Vin says 5 out of 5, and make sure you go see Final Destination. But we're all excited. I mean, when we were making the movie, um, we knew that we had something special. We were all confident, but you don't know until it gets released. So this has been very gratifying from a personal level for me, but for the whole team. They were brilliant to work with. And so if we could do it again in a
Mhm.
year or 2 years or whatever it
Mhm.
happens to be, I would be all in because I think the studio did a great job, the producers, the directors, writers, everybody. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. And to go to your question, I apologize. I kind of go off on a tangent. The Yes, I think that the connective tissue would be the death theme, that I would
Mhm.
carry that forward, but
Absolutely. Yeah.
everyone else, there would have to be new themes. They all,
Well,
spoiler alert, I don't know. They may make it, they may not. I don't know.
they made it to their final destination.
They did. They did, as we all do. As we all do. Yeah.
Death has its design. Um,
Yes.
how does Final Destination Bloodlines compare to what you've done in the past? I know you said you like versatility, you like different challenges and being flexible, but here you're also working with directors you've worked with before, with Zach
Yes.
Lipovsky and Adam Stein. You did Mech X4 and Freaks with them.
Mm.
But I think this is different, right? This is not the same style you used before.
Yeah, not at all. So Mech X4 was, sort of a superhero, sort of
Mm-hmm.
kids fantasy dream of robots and stuff like that, which is super cool and loved doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we worked on Freaks right after that, and that's sort of has a superhero bent to it, but it's more of a dystopian future, kind of wrapped into it. It's on Netflix, so if anyone's listening to it, you should go check it
Right.
out. It may give you clues for Final Destination because Zach and Adam, they're two brilliant people. I love working with them. They're very
Mm-hmm.
supportive musically. They know what they want. They're just great people to work with. So I recommend you going out. So that's kind of, yes, different styles, but
Mm-hmm.
it feels, the working relationship that I have with both of the directors, it feels comfortable enough that I can take chances and say, hey, let me just send you this. I'm just taking a shot if this is, maybe the wrong direction or whatever. And they
Right.
love experimenting. They love being collaborative. So
Mm-hmm.
from a composer standpoint, it feels, very safe and a creative, atmosphere to be in.
Mhm. Especially at this point in your career. I was watching your interview with Film Music Media, and there was the scene when they're in the car, and someone in the edit had cut it 10 frames shorter.
Yeah,
Remember? And so you changed the time signature from 4/4 to 3/4, and it sounded completely wrong. And because
right.
you're at this point in your career, you were able to tell them, "Hey, let's try this," and then it works, right? Because you know the directors, and you're at this established point in your career where you kind of have the power and the respect to make those kind of changes yourself, right?
Well,
Or at
I
least
mean,
to ask for them.
I would check the power part because it is really it's really about the movie and the producers and the directors. But once you can explain it to them that
Exactly. Yeah.
the reason why you're feeling this way is because it's 10 frames off, and if we can just
Mm-hmm.
remove the 10 frames, I don't think it'll make too much of a difference in the driving sequence. And they're open to it. And Sabrina Petrie,
Mm-hmm.
the brilliant editor who worked on Freaks as well, and Mech X4. So we have a good shorthand about what each other's needs are, and they're happy to we're all just trying to make the best film possible. So
All right.
if we can do anything and we leave no stones unturned to make the experience magical if
Right.
possible. It's one of those cues that, especially that the drive to Iris is compound, was very important to me. It was one of the cues that when I opened up the script for the first time, that I really highlighted it because it's very detailed about how Stephanie's driving to see her grandmother, and I really wanted to make that experience something special musically. So there was a very 4/4 nature. So if you do take out
Right.
that one beat, you make it a 3/4, or you add a beat, you make it a 5/4. You can sense it's wrong and you can sense it's off. And Zach and Adam
Exactly.
both sense that, and so I'm grateful for Sabrina to take out those 10 frames. Absolutely.
Exactly. Exactly. Coming back to your relationship with Zach and Adam and how this movie happened, what was your role in the production history of this movie? Because I think you joined it pretty early, right?
Yeah.
How did you join the project, and then across the development, what was your role?
Well, I didn't know anything about the project until the whole world knew about it, and I was looking at Twitter one day, and there was Zach and Adam,
Hmm.
Final Destination, making the new Final Destination movie. So I was very excited because I'm a big fan of the franchise, and at the same time, I'm like, well, I love working with Zach and Adam. I think it would be brilliant, and I
Yeah.
feel like I'm the right composer to do the job. But this is a studio film, and there's going to be a lot of creative input from everybody in the process. So they weren't like, "Hey Tim, guess what? We're working on Final Destination." It wasn't like that at all. I just reached out and said, "You know what? I really feel like I would do a brilliant job for this movie." And instead of explaining what I would do for him, I said, "Let me just write you some music." So I wrote about five or six cues, how I heard the Final Destination theme coming back for
Hmm.
2025,
Hmm.
and everybody, the producers, directors, everyone just kind of fell in love with my approach to it, and that's how I got attached.
Fantastic. Yeah. And did they use the music as they were developing the movie? Like, did they, do you know if they played it on set or anything like that?
I don't know if they played it on set. We did
Okay.
that with Freaks for sure.
Okay. Hmm.
So they did they like that because that was one of the things that Zach and Adam have we have done in the past, which we really find effective,
Hmm.
is starting the music process before they're shooting.
Right.
So you can really develop it, and it can help with the atmospheres and how they see it, how they shoot it, all these different things, and it makes for a more collaborative effort between editing, directing, composing, and so when they come back, I've already developed all these themes, and now we're like, well, this works really well here, this works there, that's this and that. We can try things out rather than how it's happened in the past where someone just plops a film on my desk and says, okay,
Right.
write, be brilliant, like right
Yeah.
away. Well, it's sometimes hard to get into that sort of environment. It can be tricky, and
Exactly.
Final Destination was one of those projects that I think really needed a special,
Hmm.
deft touch because
Hmm.
there were other composers that came from me or before me,
Hmm.
and there's all sorts of stories and this and
Hmm.
that we want to integrate, and we wanted to do Easter eggs and all these different things that we had an idea. So there's a lot of craft that went on behind the scenes, and Zach and Adam. And this is why maybe watch it again, especially if you're a big Final Destination fan. Go see it again in the theater because you're going to catch so many different things that there was made with intention. Almost every frame has like something that you can find that
Hmm.
relates to another movie, to a different story. Musically, I do it as well. There's little things that like after you see the movie and then you listen to the score, you're like, oh, that's why he uses. For instance, there's a train that plays
Yep.
important. Aspect in this movie, and I use the Doppler effect to sort of give you a hint of trains that are in the score. So this sort of sound
Hmm.
that like you don't really understand it when you're just watching it maybe for the first time, but the second time there's like you're like, oh, now I get it. This is why Tim used it because of the train
Hmm.
thing that
And
happens here or there. I don't want to spoil anything for people, but
yeah, even
it,
the,
it
the
kind of
main
is.
the main theme that you have, it kind of has this like propulsive driving nature. Like when I'm listening to it, I'm like, this sounds like a train theme. It has
Yeah,
that kind of nature, but also it's this
that's it.
nature like a train is unstoppable, like death is unstoppable, and it's coming for them all, and you can't stop the train, right?
Yeah,
I think it's all kind of connected like that.
I couldn't put it better myself. I think that's exactly our intention was that sort
Mm.
of, chugga 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 thing,
Yeah,
going
it's
on.
relentless.
It's relentless. It's
Yeah.
death, and death is undefeated, especially in these movies. And maybe Final Destination 7, you're going to find a way to really escape it, but good luck.
Who knows? Yeah. Um, what was your process? I'm really curious. When you sent them the original music, did you try to connect back to Shirley Walker's themes, or was that original like audition piece? Was that all original music? Like these are my new ideas to add, or did you try to like blend the two, or how did you approach your audition?
For that first demo, it was
Hmm.
all my original ideas.
Fantastic, great.
I wasn't sure if they were going to use Shirley's theme,
Hmm.
if they wanted to use Brian's theme, and then as we spotted the movie after, probably 2 months after they finished filming it, I think Craig Perry mentioned, one of the producers, like, you know what, it'd be great if we use Shirley Walker's theme somewhere. And Zach Lipovsky came up with the idea. It's like, you know what about when Bloodworth,
Yeah.
comes and has his moment? And I thought that was a brilliant idea. So I can't take credit for coming up with like, hey, let's use it here. Zach's so good about, and Adam as well, so good about their ideas for music that I was just able to
Hmm.
implement that. And I love tying Shirley's theme in. I feel like it's a perfect way to use her themes,
Hmm.
show the fans how it all ties into the other movies. So yeah, I was really happy with that.
It's really a perfect send off. It's such a poetic, quiet moment, and the theme it's not like very loud and in your face, but it's soft enough that if you recognize it, then it really means something, right?
Yeah, it does. And somebody sent me an email the other day, and I don't know how true this is or whatever, but they said, "Oh, hey, your song is charting in Canada," and it was the Bloodworth's
Right.
Goodbye, from my
Yeah.
soundtrack, and I guess it's number
Great.
79 on the on
As it should
on
be.
Canadian thing. So I mean, people obviously like were yearning for that, and it's special. And one of the things that made it even more special was when we recorded it. Shirley's son, Ian Walker, he played double bass on my score, and I had no idea that he was playing
Hmm.
in the
Wow.
orchestra. And so, he came up at the end of the day and said, "Hey, introduce himself," and it just made it special to me because what she
Really
did
nice.
was brilliant. In the first two films and or first three films, I should say,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and I'm just happy to continue her legacy on this movie.
Really continue the bloodline. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, there is the
it would be
bloodline right
great.
there.
It would be great if for Final Destination Bloodlines 2 or Final Destination 7, if you give it like a nice big, double bass solo. Really give him a
Yeah,
special moment to
if I
shine.
would have only known, if I knew ahead of time, but so many things get missed when you're the schedule's pretty crazy in the
Hmm.
last month of a movie. Um, when you're getting ready for recording, you have to have everything just right for 75 musicians to do it. So for me, I'm grateful. I have a wonderful team that for the orchestrating, the my assistant Lucas Geppert, he's amazing.
Hmm.
All the video changes that happen in the end, the picture changes
Yeah.
that somebody says, well, this scene's dragging a little bit, so let's cut out 10 frames. But sometimes the 10 frames aren't just like right in one place. They're 3 frames here, 3 frames there. So it can cause a lot of issues with the music. The
Mhm.
music was pretty much done, probably
Early on.
5 weeks
Yeah.
before recording, but then there's all the just editing that needs to, take place. And I think it shows, everything that
Hmm.
all the reviews I've been reading just, feel very, like,
Yeah.
rewarding to be a part
Yeah.
of it for sure.
Um, Coming back to Bloodworth, how important would you say character themes are in a Final Destination movie? Where the characters are changing every movie. Is it important to establish some kind of character theme, or is death the main character that you focus on?
Well, I think Death is definitely the main character of the
Hmm.
movie. He's or she, I guess it could be, it could be,
They,
or they, it
yeah.
doesn't, it could be anything, right? It's just one of the things that like you don't see it. And so it's even scarier. The music is sort of taking the place of like having death be a tangible person.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the character themes are important as well, but especially the story that Final Destination always seems to use is there's an ensemble cast. So I don't think it would sound right to
Okay.
say, Eric has a theme and this guy
Yeah.
has a theme. It would be a little bit it would take the viewers out of context.
Hmm.
So what we went with on Final Destination Bloodlines is we wanted sort of the Reyes family theme. So you had Iris, you had Darlene, and then you
Hmm.
had Stephanie. So those are the themes that we wanted to connect. And originally we tried to use a theme that would play through all of them, but we kind of realized that they each one of them does different things during the movie, and that one
Hmm.
theme isn't like a melodic theme isn't
Okay.
really going to do well to help it. So Iris has a more lyrical theme, especially young Iris. Old Iris
Okay.
has a
Uh-huh.
more demented theme.
Uh-huh.
Stephanie, she's more doing the action. She's trying to figure stuff out. She's
Hmm.
uncovering clues. So she has more of a propulsive theme. to it. So and Darlene has more of a protective theme that shows up when you see her on the screen for the first time at the
Mhm.
funeral, and then it shows up really big when and in the very end when she's trying to help Charlie and Stephanie evade death, and then
Mhm.
you hear like 5 seconds before maybe Darlene,
Yeah.
something happens to
Yeah.
her possibly or not. So
Yeah.
so those are the main themes
Uh-huh.
that really. But I think you're 100% right
Yeah.
that death is the main focus for
Yeah.
music.
But I do really appreciate what you just said, that even though that we know the nature of the movie, but you individualize their moments for each of them
Right.
to focus on who that character is and what they're doing. What would you say makes your death theme unique from Shirley and Brian's? Because obviously you want to respect what came before, but you want to also reinvent. And I think you're creating a new musical era for Final Destination. So what makes yours unique?
Well, I'd use a little bit different approach.
Hmm.
I felt like Shirley's theme was perfect, and
Hmm.
so it was hard. How do I create something that
Hmm.
is does the same thing but is different?
Hmm.
So I just went at it from a different approach, and I was influenced a little bit by how the movies of the '70s and John Williams score for Jaws, maybe
Yeah.
somebody had mentioned
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and it's true. It's always kind of in the back of my head, thinking about that movie and how you're never going to get away from that shark. There's nothing that you can do to that shark
Relentless.
to get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, relentless, and so we wanted something. We didn't even talk about it because I
Hmm.
I wrote music and I wrote the theme before seeing the script or even knowing anything about the movie. So I guess there was something coming from my subconscious that felt like that
Hmm.
just that. And
Hmm.
when I started playing on the piano, I was like, yeah, there's just something there. There's
Hmm.
something that seems right. So yeah, that's kind of how I came up with it.
Yeah. I mean, even when I was preparing for this interview, my first note was that Final Destination, there is that kind of Jaws quality, like this ominous Jaws kind of suspense. And I think your score captures that perfectly, like I was saying, with that kind of relentless idea. At the same
Yeah.
time, you have like this gleeful comedic timing and this powerful sense of silence. Like you're balancing so many different tones and styles. And I think that's what makes these movies so special is that it's horror and it's comedy and it's drama. And Bloodlines, I think, captures that perfectly. Thanks to your score.
Well, no, well, thank you for that. And I will say, I've seen the movie obviously a
Many times.
bazillion times, right? And that's just a job as a composer is that you watch it, endlessly. But every time you see it with a different audience, you learn something more.
Mhm.
And the first time I saw it with an audience at the world premiere, I caught myself thinking, you mentioned comedy. Uh, I almost felt like, is this a comedy with horror or a horror with comedy? I don't
Mhm.
know, depending on what you're looking for, because
Yeah.
it felt right in either way, and
Yeah.
I love the way it was directed that way. It didn't feel so serious. It felt like what you're getting into with this movie,
Mhm.
and you just sit down, have a great time, and people are.
Yeah. I'm very curious. I think you already know where this question's going. You have it behind you. Besides Shirley Walker's original score, where else did you find inspiration for the soundscape and making this such a unique style of movie?
Well, I did create a custom instrument for this movie, and it's
Hmm.
called the Blood Box, right there.
Hmm.
Um, so I just was looking for something. I mentioned the drive to Iris's compound. So when you get to Iris's compound, Iris sets up a lot of traps, and we learn later that Bloodworth helped her put it up
Hmm.
there. Um, but so she could discover when death was hunting her and when death was trying to take her out. So there was all these pots and pans and metal objects and things, and I wanted an instrument that could capture that I could play, that would kind of give the score a unique bend to it in
Hmm.
those moments.
I think it works really well because you have such a powerful range of emotions with a very traditional John Williams style orchestra. Like it feels like almost like Danny Elfman, John Williams, like very classic 1970s, 80s. But then you have this like eerie blood box, which sounds super creepy. Um,
Yeah.
I remember I saw the video you did with Film Music Media when you're demonstrating it. And it's an amazing, because it sounds like it's this wonderful sound design, this atmospheric, eerie, scary sound design, but it's all recorded in mic. There's no like editing or special effects. It's all just created right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I really love how it plays, and every time you bow it, you strike it,
Mhm.
you have this quality to it that you can't ever repeat. So you're always hitting record because like if you're not recording, you're like, oh my gosh, this bow
Yeah.
did this and that, and it's hard to replicate the sound again. So yeah, it's fun, and I love using it in the score.
So for the next one, would you use the blood box again, or would you make
Yeah.
an all new type of instrument?
Well, it depends on what the movie would be like.
Mhm.
If I guess I would like to use some of it, but
Mhm.
if it's Final Destination in space, maybe
A
maybe
theremin.
there. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. I like that idea. I'll take that. But yeah, absolutely. I hate to say it, I have no inside track, and I'm sure everyone, if there's writers right now saying, "Hey, we need to write the next movie," that yeah, I don't know anything about it yet. So.
Or God forbid, like Final Destination with dinosaurs or something.
Hey, I like it. Let's go back in
Look at
time,
that.
the Renaissance era or something like that. Let's
Yeah.
hopefully that could be Final Destination 12 or something like that. So
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, this actually gets into my next question, which is I know
Mm,
you're a fan of the franchise. I know you've
yeah.
been a fan since the beginning. What would you like to see in the next Final Destination movie? Now that you're actually involved and maybe you could, push your way a little bit. Like environments, character types, weird weapons.
Yeah, you know what? What's been great is I've seen a lot of fans sort of do the work for me a little bit. Where someone I saw somewhere where they talked about like a cruise ship. I think
Hmm.
that would be epic. Like
Hmm.
having everyone on a cruise ship and deaths taking you out one by one, and I don't know, something like that, or I think just exotic locales
Yeah.
would be like a really cool way of doing it, and coming up with the death stuff and the weapons, and I mean, boy, I'll leave that to the writers because
Hmm.
the when I remember reading the script, I'm like, my goodness, the detail on
Hmm.
every little like half a second for every
Yeah.
little thing, spoiler alert, make sure that your pocket you don't have any pennies,
Look,
for this movie because I love that. I thought that was great how it caused so much mayhem.
the day I saw this movie, that morning, I had an MRI exam,
Oh no, I'm
and
sorry.
thank God it was. I
Oh, it
went
was
to the MRI
before. Yeah,
before the
yeah,
movie. Thank
yeah,
God,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I don't think I could have done it after.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a lot of scares in here that like I don't have a trip planned to Seattle, but people have noticed that the
yeah,
sky view does sort of remind them of the Space Needle, and I don't know.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I would be a little bit hesitant to go up there.
Yeah. Did you have any favorite kills from this movie? Any favorite like behind the scenes moments? Anything like that?
So, I mean, again, for me, it's just a thrill working with a
Hmm.
team on it. Everybody that I worked with was brilliant, had a great experience. I think that sometimes is not always true. I have a lot of composer friends, and a lot of people in the industry, and there's a lot. Sometimes it can be movie making can be very difficult, and
Hmm.
this movie was not that way. It was brilliant. It was
Yeah.
everyone supported each other. So for me, it's that like feeling of camaraderie and I just couldn't be more grateful to be a part of it. It was a magical experience. It really
Hmm.
was.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm just on the other side watching it, but I really feel that you can tell on a movie when everyone is on the same page and everyone knows exactly what they're doing, and everyone is on has the same vision. I think you can tell when a movie's just clicking, and I
Yeah.
think Bloodlines is one of those really really special examples when people say, "Oh, it's a Final Destination movie," but I think you guys all were on the same page with this, and you all knew
Yeah.
exactly what you were doing, and that's like you're saying, is it horror with comedy? Is it comedy with horror? That can be very difficult to balance correctly.
Yeah.
And the fact that you all knew exactly what you were doing, whatever the answer is, you knew it, you felt it, and you can tell when you're watching.
No, thank you. And I do appreciate that because it did feel that way. We were um you read about stories about this movie, like this
Hmm.
there was this problem with this actor, there was
Hmm.
yelling, screaming, what it happens to there was never a raised voice. All it
Yeah.
was joy, love,
And fun, right?
reverence to the other movies. Yeah, have fun with it. We knew what we wanted to give to the fans and to the people that are new to the franchise. There's going to be people that have never seen a Final Destination movie that we had to sort of, this is their first one to see. And like the other day I was opening up HBO Max. I think it's HBO Max now. Did they change the name?
Officially.
Now officially HBO Max. And in the top 10 movies of all 5 of the prior Final Destination movies were there. So people are really experiencing the other movies, and probably 20-year-olds, this is their first, Final Destination movie. And then they're like, whoa, let me see how it all started. And experiencing it for the first time. So I'm curious of almost like rewatching parties, or people saying, hey, let's watch Final Destination 1 all together. It wouldn't surprise me that they started that, that path.
There's a real conversation about this movie. I told you before we started, like some of my friends are still going now to go see the movie.
Yeah.
And another friend yesterday, he's not a huge fan. Yesterday he binged all 5 movies.
Oh, so he helped the numbers. Yeah.
He's not even like a super fan, but he just, it's the conversation right now. Like there's movies in theaters, but this is the one that's the surprise, I think. So,
cool. I think you're right. And even, I think my wife mentioned it yesterday somewhere, and she's like, oh, it wouldn't be a great idea, like Barbenheimer sort of like aspect, like go see Lilo and Stitch and then see how you can bend your brain, go see Final Destination, so do the double feature. I think that's a brilliant way to have a fun summer. But I think it's going to play for a long time. Hopefully, like a movie like Sinners, it's doing really well. Such a slow burn, great movie. They did an amazing job too. And so Final Destination, I hope it does similar things.
Yeah, and like I was saying, I hope this is the beginning of a new era for Final Destination.
Yeah, me too.
Just one last question about that. Musically, what would you like to experiment with next? Like we talked about maybe like Theremin if it's in space, but realistically, like what do you think is your next adventure, your next challenge where you like to push yourself?
Well, I mean, it's really dependent on the script. I mean, I'm an instrument of this story. So it would really depend on how the story comes out. I mean, for me, my approach to this movie was similar. You mentioned that the music has a, old school sort of horror score to it. Well, it's because that the directors and myself, we really wanted a melodic score. And Craig Perry, the producer of one of the producers of Final Destination movies that's been in the franchise the whole time, he's a soundtrack geek and he loves big melodies. And so, and I do too. And I learned it, or I was taught at USC from Elmer Bernstein, Jerry Goldsmith, who, the Owen, Poltergeist. I mean, basically every big movie you've ever heard. And you mentioned John Williams. So I was going for that approach rather than a sound design approach, which is effective in a lot of other movies. In that genre, the horror genre is more of a sound design. But for this franchise, it felt like the thematic material and big melodies, it really helped, tell the story for Final Destination.
Yeah, I really thought it was so refreshing how like old school and traditional, like it feels like a score I would have grown up with as a kid. But here it is, and a new 2025 horror movie. Fantastic. All right.
Thank you. You asked great questions, and you got what I was trying to do, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Now, we're the Cosmic Circus. We're a sci-fi, fantasy, comics-based organization, I suppose. You've scored Supernatural, Marvel's Midnight Suns. You've even done parodies with Peter Safran. Would you ever consider doing some kind of Marvel or the new DCU or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I love. I think again, it goes back to telling compelling stories.
So it really depends on the script for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and the script and the people. You are what you work with, and if you work with fantastic, supporting, amazing people, it really makes it easy to work. It's like you're not working a day. So I think Marvel is doing a great job, and the new movies, I'm very excited about, all the things that are coming out this summer and what's going to happen. So, yeah, I mean, if it came along, I mean, for me, it was great working on the Midnight Suns. That was really fun to write, the Marvel sort of sound for that. So if I could have a chance to do it again, of course I would.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thanks, man. This has been really great. I've enjoyed interviewing you. I've enjoyed diving through your history and exploring everything you've done. You've had a fantastic career, and I really can't wait to see whatever you do next, because I think it's going to be awesome.
Hey, thanks, Vin. I really appreciate it.
Have a great night. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, take care now. Bye now.
And special thanks to our Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see even more videos and extended content, please subscribe at the link in the description.
Thank you.